Hello everybody, today I thought we'd start a little tutorial. I'd just like to maybe put a little video there sharing what I have learned about how to create a voxel generated, procedurally generated world. Everything you're looking at right now is procedurally generated from the grass to the trees to the, well, not the ocean, to the landscape. Everything is procedurally generated using the Voxel plugin Pro. I have the Pro version. Of course, there is a free version as well. And so yeah, I thought I struggled a lot in figuring out how to get my Voxel world going. It's been about a month here, and I'm starting to get there. It's nowhere near finished yet, but as you can see, there is trees. There is multiple layers of terrain. For example, we have this beach layer. Down here we have a bit of a wet sand layer down there. As we travel up, you can see that the land terrain sort of changes. We've got slopes, and as we continue to climb up more, actually I haven't really done much materialing up here, but there will be the option to set up snow caps and other such things is certainly there. Right now, the landscape as it is entirely consisting of islands and oceans and all those sorts of things. So I thought what I would do is let you know which systems I use to create what you see here, so that if this is something that you're trying to create yourself, you would have a little bit more guidance than I had when I was figuring all of this out. So bear with me, because I'm recounting and recalling some of the things I've just recently learned over the last month, so I might be a little bit stuttery here and there, but I'll do my best. Yeah, everything you can see though, like I say, as you can see up here right now, the tasks are generating. There is some trees and grass and everything like that to be spawned in. This is due to the way that the voxel is generating mesh, basically landscape, trees and terrain, all that sort of stuff. So it does take a little bit of time, but there are ways to do this faster. I just haven't set that up on my voxel world yet. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty cool. Everything, like I say, procedurally generated. And as you know, it's neat as you go exploring around your voxel world, your procedural world. You don't even know what you're going to encounter. You know, it's kind of like playing the game for your first time as a game developer. Anyway, so let's get into this. Let's get into how to get started. To get started, you will of course need to install the Voxel plugin. I'm going to assume that you're not a complete noob, and you'll be able to figure out how to do something like install the Voxel plugin. I'm not going to talk about those sorts of things, because those are things, there's information out there on how to do them, and I don't want to hold your hand too much, because this video could take 5 times longer if that's the case. So we're just going to kind of assume that you have at least a decent enough ability with Unreal that you know how to use the editor to a degree. If I can figure it out, I'm a complete noob. I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to figure it out too, with the instructions we're going to go through. So let's kick things off. Okay, so what I would like to do here is start out by creating a new voxel level, and pretty sure what we need to do here, this, like I said, I'm going to be a little bit rusty. What we need to do is create a new voxel world. Here we go, voxel world. Okay, so hang on one sec. Just gonna pause my recording, save everything up, and get started maybe in a new window. Okay, so first things first, let's create a new level. Let's call this the tutorial level. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Eden, you can call it whatever you want. So now we have a new empty level. First thing you're probably going to want to do, and like I said, I'm going to talk to you about what I use to create this world and the systems I use. The first thing you're going to need is a plugin called Ultra Dynamic Sky. Now this is going to be your easiest way to create beautiful sky, just like fantastic weather and sky. So you can grab that in the marketplace. If you don't have it yet, I think it's like 29 bucks. It's super reasonable. It's cheap for what it is. It is an absolute steal for what it is. So once you have Ultra Dynamic Sky, you can just kind of start to type in Ultra, and you'll see the blueprints for Ultra Dynamic Sky and Ultra Dynamic Weather pop up. We'll start by dropping in Ultra Dynamic Sky, and wow, We have sky, we have lighting, we have everything set up automatically just like that. How great is that? Let's drop in some weather. Okay, now we have some weather. That's sweet. But you know what? Let's actually change this to partly cloudy. You know, it's not a rainy day today. This is a happy day. We're learning how to create a whole world. Next up, what you'll want to do is find your voxel world from your whatever this browser is called. I don't know. Find your voxel world, and also drop that in. I'm gonna go ahead and set my voxel location just to 0, 0, 0, just to get it to flat, get it to ground level. And now you'll see something like this. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do, and excuse me while I pause this video and figure out what the first thing you're going to want to do is, because I kind of forget. Hang on. Okay, right. The first thing you're going to do, right-click somewhere in your content browser and look for voxel, and a voxel graph is what we are going to need. Is it a voxel graph? I think it's a voxel graph. New voxel graph generator. Okay, so under your voxel world, you will see, as you scroll down, a section to input your voxel graph. Maybe I scrolled past it. I think I might have. Voxel general, voxel save, voxel preview. Where the heck is it? Materials, no. Spawners, no. Physics, no. Where the heck? Hang on, I'm gonna find it so you guys don't have to watch me scroll around. Okay, here it is, right under voxel general. You need to switch class to object, and when you switch class to object, then you will see a little section here that we can pop our voxel graph into. Gonna go ahead and do that. It won't look like much yet. That's okay, because what we will do next is open up our voxel graph. It will look something like this. Not too exciting. Do you guys see that? I don't know. I don't think. Hang on. Was OBS capturing that? No, it's not. Okay, there we go. That should be good. So now we've got our voxel graph open. Here's what it's going to look like. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pause the video here. You can ignore this part. You don't need that part. I'm just trying to figure out about biomes right now, so ignore that part. Let me just zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. This is what you need. Okay, so number one, we can take an X and a Y. Very easy. Just hold down X, hold down Y, pop in your X and your Y. The 2D IQ noise, right? 2D IQ noise. Let's grab one of those. Let's just grab all of these. Let's grab a get slope from derivatives. You don't really need to know what the hell all this stuff means yet. Frequency, let's do that. We'll get a frequency. Actually, no, that's not a thing. That's what the hell is that again? That is a float parameter. Okay, float parameter. Grab a float parameter. We can just call this frequency. You can go ahead and set an initial value of that I've got it to 0.00075. You'll see what this does in a minute. So go ahead and just punch that in. Let's see, we've got, we can go ahead and plug the X into the X. We can plug the Y into the Y. Why not? Because that's where it goes. Frequency can plug into frequency as such, and of course seed can actually just stay the same it is. The seed will generate a different variation of your landscape. You probably already know about seeds from playing other games like Valheim and other stuff like that. So now we're just going to subtract as it shows here. Subtract from one thing and another. What was it again? Value from get slope derivatives, and then d and x and y. I think we need to split that. Yes, we do. Split that as such. The dx gets the dx, and the dy gets the dy. Is that right? I think so. And then the dz gets 0, apparently. I can't remember. I followed a tutorial for how to do this, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to now multiply here. Multiply float by float. Plug that in as such. And we got a multiplier here, which is another, what was it called again? Float parameter, right? Float parameter. So we'll take that, just call it bin multiplier. Default, well, not default, I got mine set to 300 here. I'm going to set that to 300. Right, so just plug that in as such. And, This is a, what the hell is this? This is a local variable, create local variable. I'm going to call this land. I'm going to plug that into here. And let's see, what else do we do? Right, we also need to do a couple other things. So we have the start node up here, which is always just there. And we have the z and land, and then we have a subtract, so we'll take that, we'll do z, and we'll actually have to get our land this time. Get land, no, sorry, not like that. Land, local variables, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So now we're going to use the land. So here we're setting it, and here we're using it. So we're just going to subtract float by float, and now that goes to here, that goes to here, and where are we? Start, and then set value. Okay, set value. Last but not least, the value goes into the value, and okay. So that's going to generate a landscape, basically. Don't ask me how these things all work exactly, because I don't know, clearly. But I know they do, and you can tweak it. And I'll show you a little bit about what I know. You can figure out how to tweak it later. So basically, come back to your voxel world, hit Control F5 to refresh your landscape. I'm actually under the ground a little bit, but as you can see, dun 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 dun, we have a landscape. Now, if this is your first time generating a voxel landscape terrain, this is probably got to feel pretty cool, because now you have a landscape. So all generated. It's super sweet. I know I was pretty stoked when I first did that. Okay, so a few things that I know, and a lot of things that I don't. Number one, if you want to adjust some of the characteristics of your landscape, there are lots of ways to do this, like I say, that I don't know, and some ways that I do. For example, setting the frequency to something else will dramatically change what your landscape looks like. Let's go to 175, hit Control F5, and as you can see, we have much sharper peaks now. All right, so if we go to, let's say, a .15, or I think I need one more zero there, 1.15. Go ahead and click Control F5. Now we have very, very smooth ground. Okay, so interesting, right? So you can kind of play around with those settings. Like I say, there are other settings that I do not fully understand, and you'll have to play around with some other stuff and research how to specifically get some of the other things the way you want them, because I don't entirely know. I just kind of know the basics on how to get this kind of going. So, could you guys even see what I was doing? No, shit, that's because my OBS is okay, what I was doing is I was changing the frequency right here, right, to like 0.25 or 0.75 or whatever, and that was changing the landscape. As you could see, sorry about that, that's because, yeah, OBS is just recording the Unreal window and not the open tab, so I'm going to have to remember not to do that again. Okay, so we have our landscape. Great, that was pretty easy. I tried Unreal 4.26 water. It does work, but it's a little bit quirky. Let's drop it in here, and then I'll actually show you. Wait, where was it? Water, body, ocean. If we drag that in, yeah, I just found it quirky. I don't know. It can work, but I found it quirky. I don't know if it works that well. I'm gonna set this to all zeros. I don't know, maybe, yeah, Unreal water. Not too, oh, you know why? It's because I don't have a land map. Anyway, it's quirky. It's quirky with it does work, I got it working, but it's a little bit quirky. I'm going to show you what I use instead. I use the Oceanology plugin. It is a more expensive plugin, but it is pretty sweet. It's about $150 for this plugin. It works very well with your voxel world. So I'm just going to put this at sea level 0. I'm going to, I think, make it bigger. Nah, that's probably going to be big enough. But as you can see, we now have what do we have? We have an ocean. That's what we have. Perfect, beautiful. That's looking pretty cool already. Like I say, Oceanology plugin. There are probably other water plane plugins that you could use if you don't want to spring for the Oceanology plugin. But I dare say, man, this is a gorgeous plugin with you know, volumetric underwater, what is it, post processing, etc., etc. Now this is kind of a little bit quirky because we do actually have a water level of 0, which is where we see a little bit of of waves. So you may want to, you know, play around with your height map a bit and try to find something that works for you. Let's regenerate that. I don't know, still a little bit quirky, but yeah, like I say, that's going to be a matter of tweaking, which you're not going to be doing here in this tutorial, because that could just take hours and days and who knows how long. Okay, so probably one of the things you'll want to be doing next is actually creating a landscape material, an auto landscape material. Hang on a sec, be right back. Okay, so as memory serves, what you're going to want to do is right-click, look for Voxel, and look for Voxel Landscape Material Collection. Man, oh man, I tell you, this took me days, if not weeks, to figure out what I'm gonna show you in like the next 60 seconds. Voxel Landscape Material Collection. Okay, so scroll down until you find, I believe we'll want a multi-index. So we're looking at the voxel world, and we'll want a multi-index. And then we can select our voxel multi-landscape material and punch that right in. As such, won't look like much yet. That's okay, because now we'll just open up our voxel landscape, and here we're going to put in our auto landscape material. Now I use one which is not quite yet released on the market, or maybe it is, I don't know. I'll put it in the description of the video below if it is. But I dare say this will work with a variety of landscape materials. Actually, you know what, there is one that is already released on the market, and it is, let's see, auto landscape material, I believe, landscape material, auto landscape material, yeah. Okay, so this one, well, you know what, there's a lot of auto scan landscape materials on the Unreal Marketplace, so you can kind of find the one that works for you. That's fine. So here's my auto landscape material. Nice thing about this is it will generate things like cliffs on sharper angles, and you can do like a beach layer and stuff like that. Auto landscape material, I forget what this was called. I think it might have just been called auto landscape material. And I do use another one now that I really, really like. A friend of mine developed it and happily let me beta test it. And if it is ready yet, I'm going to link that. I'll show you how that is as well. But for now, let's just select our auto landscape material. Boom. And we'll plug that in like that. Ta-da. And I'm just going to go ahead and save, and I'm going to click refresh over here. Control F5, and my computer's going to freeze a little bit. There we go. And now we have something which resembles something. Now, what you may notice is that you have one of your materials from your auto landscape material. This took me forever to fix. Basically, it's this. What you need to do, set your auto material. So we're back in the landscape material collection here, and you can see if I open this up, my auto material is currently 0. So I'm actually going to go and I'm going to look at the current 0, and I'm going to change that to 14, and I'm going to change this to 0, and this is the thing that fixes it. So now if I refresh my landscape, actually the shaders are compiling, so I think it's refreshing on its own. It should now, boom, boom, boom. Now we have a beautiful landscape with height, level, and stuff like that, and all that really, really good stuff. So yeah, this particular auto landscape material has lots of features, and different ones have different features, of course. And if you're new to actually creating an auto landscape material, look into them, because there are some great assets on the marketplace. Actually, this is not the instance. I wanted the instance. Let's do that one. Oops, no, that was wrong. Grab the instance. Yeah, okay. Well, as you can see with my current instance, I've already done a little bit like set the beach height level and some stuff like that. And the auto material, like I say, always needs to be 0. And then the other things, I don't think it matters where they go. But yeah, with this auto landscape material, for example, I can do different things, neato things. And if, like I say, you're just getting into auto landscape materials, they have all sorts of different features depending on which one you're using. But this one, for example, lets me specify, for example, the beach layer height and the smoothing between like the beach layer and other things such as that, and the snowy mountain layer, and all these different things. So you can basically use this auto landscape material to specify the heights of your landscape and the different terrains that you want to use. So I'm actually going to go ahead and punch in my other landscape material here because I kind of want to showcase it because there's a friend of mine who developed it and he did a hell of a job creating it. I'm not sure what he's calling it yet, but if it's in the marketplace, I will link it. So I'm just going to punch that in here really quick. Be right back. Okay, we're back, and yeah, like I say, if this is available in the marketplace, check it out. It's super sweet. It's just got like a ton of great features. You can actually set multiple height layer cliffs. So for example, the beach height layer would have sort of different cliff textures, and as you go up, and I have not done this justice one bit because I'm just screwing around, but as you can see, as we get up a little bit higher, the cliff, and this is not looking great. You know, I haven't chosen the right stuff here, but you can kind of choose what you want for the cliffs and for the slopes at each different biome level. So there's 5 biome levels, I believe, 4 biome levels custom and 1 water level biome, so you can kind of build all the way up to Snowy Cap Mountains, which I have not done yet. But yeah, this auto landscape material is super sweet, and if it's available yet, oops, I guess I did this again. If it's available yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, we're not going to talk too much about landscaping other than auto materials are the way to go. Let's get into putting some trees and plants and rocks and other cool things into our voxel world. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is right click and go to voxel, and we're going to look for a voxel mesh spawner or voxel mesh spawner group. Now I prefer the group because you can put multiple things into the group. So for example, you might put a grass group. So actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do grass. It's a good place to start. And you can put multiple types of grass into your grass group. And then you might have your trees group or your rocks group or your flowers group, which is kind of what I've done. It's a nice way to organize it. So open up your group, and what you're going to want to do is now browse to where you have your mesh, your grass, whatever it is you're putting in. In this case, we're putting in some grass. Let me just find where the heck I put my grass. I'll be right back. Okay, this is where I put my grass. I've got a few different variants here. What you can start out by doing, I'm going to quickly drop down and save. Sometimes this crashes. If you drag a bunch of elements into your array at once, sometimes it crashes, so you might be safer just doing one at a time. So this is where we add the different meshes for, in this case, our grass group. Right, so I'm going to grab, what am I going to grab? Let's grab, oh, it doesn't really matter. This is a demonstration. I'll grab this one, and I'll grab a few other ones. Grab that one, just put that inside, grab that one. Oops, nope, that's not what we're doing right here. And then we'll grab this one, right? Yeah, okay. Now we're going to get to some of this other stuff in a moment, but let's start with, actually hang on a sec. We need one more thing. We need a voxel spawner config. I forgot about that. So let's just go ahead and save our voxel mesh spawner. And we need also to right click and create a new voxel spawner config. Okay, and that can also be put into our voxel world spawners section right down here. So we'll just put in our spawner config right there. Okay, so let's open up our spawner config also. So we have our grass and we have our spawner config. In our spawner config, now we have our grass mesh group, right? So in our spawner config, here's our grass voxel mesh spawner group. So we can go ahead and just click that and put that right into our what am I, oh wait, what's going on here? What am I doing? Okay, right, actually it goes right in here, my bad. Oops. So hang on, I think I forgot something. I'll be right back. No, wait a minute, no, I think I got this. Okay, so we've added an element under spawners. We go ahead and click on our spawner group, and we just put our spawner group right in here. We're going to choose the ray type of casting. Now this is what I was talking about before. The height type of casting is much faster, from what I understand. But I haven't figured out how to use it. I've figured out how to make ray casting work really well. But height, I haven't figured that out yet. So we're not going to do height. We're going to do ray casting. What ray casting basically does, well, look at that, they're already there. Isn't that cool? What ray casting basically does is it shoots a beam of light. No, it shoots a ray down to your ground, and when it collides with your surface, it drops a mesh. So we've got our grass here. Isn't that great? That's pretty cool. All right. Okay. Now we want to do a few things. So right now, as you can see, we've got like a little square chunk like this. And it doesn't go any further than that. But let's say we want it to go further. We can do that. We can do that by changing the size of the group here. You can go 32, 64, 128, 256. It kind of locks you into those numbers. So go ahead and I'm going to change that to 128. I'm going to refresh, and as you can see, now I've got like a 128 chunk size. Whatever that is, measurement, I don't really know, but it's more, and there you go. There's all the grass. You can use this for tweaking basically performance. As you can see right now, however, our grass is doing a few things we don't want it to do. Number one, it's going under the water. Grass doesn't usually grow under the water unless it's seagrass, and this is not seagrass. This is landgrass. So let's fix that. Okay. So head back into our grass voxel mesh spawner group, and then we're going to do a few things. Let's start by setting the where are we looking here? The height, basically. Oh yeah, here we go. Height restriction and height restriction fall off. Those are both good things. So number one, we know that our water level is height 0, right? So that's where our ocean is. So let's set this that grass will only spawn between height 5 and let's say height 30. Okay, so I'm going to save you and show you what that did. Now you can see. And you'll just have to kind of randomly guess at what your values are. You'll kind of learn what the numbers, how far they actually are, as you kind of guess around a bit. But as you can see now, the grass starts at height 5, which is roughly right around here, and it goes up to height 30, which stops right there. So this is how you kind of control your layers of vegetation. Now, another thing I can see here is this grass is kind of spawned in clumpy clumpets. It's spawned in clumpy, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. But let's get the grass spawning a little bit closer together right now. So that is controlled by the distance between instants and voxels. So I'm going to change that to 5, and when I do that, as you can see, the grass is now spawning much closer together. That's really cool. Let's, you'll just have to tweak this a little bit, figure out what works for you. I'm going to try maybe 3. All right, so now we have some fairly closely spawning together glass. I don't know, I might go a little bit closer, maybe 2. All right. Very cool. Whoa, that's pretty close. I can feel a hit in my performance already, but that's okay. Now, a hit in performance on grass is probably one that you might want to pull back a little bit from that spawning distance. I don't know, maybe 64. Work a little bit better. I do not know the difference between these two things. I just match them up, and it seems to kind of work. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments, because I don't know. Like I say, I've been doing this for a month. I've learned some things, but not a lot of things. I know less than I do. There's more I don't know than that I do know, or something like that. Yeah, actually that's still a little bit hard on my video card, so I'm just going to back that down to 32. Yeah, like I say, you can control performance by spacing, by a few other things. Okay, so now let's say that, for example, we don't want the grass to spawn at every different slope. Like, for example, let's say we don't want the grass growing on that particular slope. Let me actually just punch that back down to 2. We can specify what the slope angle restrictions are. So let's say if it's between 0 and 5 degrees, you can see the grass only grows on slope angles that are at 0 to 5 degrees. Right? So you can kind of control the way your vegetation grows in a bit more of a natural way. Let's go between 0 and 25. And, oops, did I not save that? What did I not do? Oh, I didn't do a thing. I didn't do a thing at all. It's, where was I? 0 to 25, okay. Okay, so now you can see the grass kind of grows on the ground, but it doesn't necessarily grow on the cliffs, which is kind of good. Okay, all right, where are we? Let's look at a few more configurations. The height restriction fall off is nice. Because right now, as you can see, our grass grows super straight along a very unnatural looking edge. But let's say we want to sort of taper that a bit. And that's what our height restriction fall off is for. So I'm going to change that to maybe 3. And as you can see, now the grass kind of, well, it tapers off a bit. It starts slowing down and kind of creates a little bit more of a natural look. Again, you're going to need to tweak this and play with it and do other things like that. Sometimes you may encounter issues where your grass is not touching the ground. For example, I think we have yeah, we have a bit of an issue like that here. Almost undetectable, but in some cases it might be more severe. That's okay. What you can do is actually head back into your group, and you can actually set the global position offset to something like maybe -5. You do that, stuff comes down a bit. You saw it jump down just a bit. I'm going to try maybe -15. Alright, so now that's down a bit, kind of goes through the terrain, and as you can see, most of our grass is now correctly connected to the ground. Another thing that I do for performance sometimes is potentially scale the grass up. And you can change the scale of your grass, say for example to size 3, this is how big my grass is going to be. You can also do other things like non-uniform scaling, so like scale the X and the Y separately in different ways, free or lock XY. I'm just going to do uniform scaling here. So this basically says the grass should be anywhere between 2 to 3 times its normal size. This would be 2 to 4 times its normal size. So as I look back, you can see the grass is now randomly generated between 2 and 4 times its normal size. And so a kind of a trick that I've been doing a little bit is to generate bigger grass, spread out further apart, and you kind of get a similar looking grass effect, but now you're using half as many meshes. Hang on, I'll be right back. So yeah, now you're using half as many meshes, but getting a very similar looking effect, so you can tweak that around to your heart's content, whatever you figure looks good. Align to world up, align to surface up. Now this determines the rotation of your grass. Right now it goes up straight up, regardless of what surface it's on. I tend to kind of like align to surface. Now depending on the surface the grass is on, it'll kind of grow up straight from its own surface, which can often look more natural. Sometimes not, but it'll depend on the particular mesh that you're doing. What else have we got? Some sort of height settings. You can probably kind of figure that out. This has to do with how far the grass is generated. Don't understand this too well yet, but setting these values up more, I'm pretty sure, increases how far the grass is generated. But you also have to configure this bit somehow. I'm not sure. I don't fully understand the settings on that, so I'm not going to talk about what I don't really understand too much, just a little bit. Collision presets, what you want the collisions for your objects to be. If they do not yet have a collision setting in them, and some of the, for example, what were they called? The bridge, what was it called? Bridge. Megascans bridge stuff doesn't always have a collision set in it by default, so you'll just need to go and set a collision in some of your meshes if you want there to be a collision, and then once there is a collision, then your block all should, block all or whatever collision settings you want. Lifespan, I haven't played around with that too much, so I'm not going to talk about that. But that's basically the gist of, excuse me, last but not least, random yaw basically just adds some variation, to the rotation. So this could be anywhere from 0 to 6 degrees variance in pitch angles. So if you don't want any variance in your randomness of rotation, you can just put that to 0. Okay, you want to drop in some trees? You probably get the gist of this now, but let's drop in some trees just for fun. Easiest way to do this that I tend to like to do is just duplicate an existing mesh group. I'll call this one trees. Actually, this kind of brings me to a good point. If you haven't got trees in your world yet, I highly recommend checking out a program called SpeedTree. It's great. You can just, it costs a bit of money to buy the trees, although they do have some free presets that you can just use, I guess. But SpeedTree is great. It does really nice and fairly well optimized trees. So I'm going to grab a couple of trees and just drop those into my new tree group, wherever that is, wherever I put that. Where the hell did I put that? Oh yeah, right, content browsers. Alright, so I got my trees. I'm going to put in a few trees. One tree. Ha ha ha. And find another tree. Let's grab another tree. Let's grab one of these beech trees, sure. Why not? Grab one of those beech trees. Actually, probably good to go through another thing, and I'll show you some other stuff as we do that you may come up against and have questions about. maybe not. Maybe this is all pretty obvious and starting to come together now. But let's put in some bushes too, sure. Alright, so now I have my trees. And what you will of course need to do is open your voxel spawner group and add a new element in there. This is going to be your trees voxel mesh spawner group. And like I say, there's probably a few things like that in particular, how to add another group in. Well, this is how. Go ahead and put my trees in there, click save. And now, whoa, dude, I'm in the trees. Oh, you know what? These trees are so close together right now because they're much bigger, right? So the bigger the object, the further apart typically they need to be. I'm going to set that to 50 so we can just kind of see where we're at. And we are still extremely heavy on trees, I think. Yep, extremely heavy on trees. I don't know, let's change that to 150. See where that gets us. Oh, we're super light on trees. Where'd all the trees go? I don't know. Let's put that back to 100. I'm not sure. Maybe it didn't load. Oh, now we got lots of trees again. So we got some trees populating right here. Well, theoretically. I'm getting some weirdness going on with these trees. I'm not sure what's going on. You know what I'm gonna do? Maybe here's what's going on. I think I have the distance of these way too close because they're big. So I'm gonna set those to be much further generated back. So now we should start getting, whoa, tons of trees. There we go. I'm gonna spread those out a bit, maybe 200. And there we go. So that's reasonable. I have a reasonable amount of trees. I might want them to start up a little bit higher, maybe something like, I don't know, let's put them at 8. 8 to 50. 8 to 50, there we go. So yeah, you can do this with rocks, you can do this with flowers, you can do this with all the different things you need, and then you have your trees, you have your ocean, you have your sky, you have your weather, and you have your flowers and stones, and I think that's pretty good. I think we've probably learned enough for this video. If you guys want to know any other things, let me know what I can maybe make a video about, and if I know how to do it, and chances are I probably won't, because like I say, I'm kind of a noob, but if I do, I'll be happy to make a video on how to do it. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video.